potential health risks being spread on American farms and invading our food. Fertilizer made from human waste that contains forever chemicals is not.
Digital IDs, the United Nations, the European Union, Britain. Of course, the really terrifying example is China, which uses digital IDs and a social credit score to control speech and to control what people think and say online.
We are not interested in being Americans.
Yeah, be ourselves and live our life here.
Danish and Greenland have to get together and don't fight.
Welcome to the sacrificed.
New tonight, an Action News special investigation. Courts are now facing a growing threat, AI-generated deep fakes, and they're putting innocent people in jail. Investigative reporter Chapadelli sits down with a victim and explores how the criminal justice system is evolving to deal with deep fake evidence.
Our victim was in a volatile relationship. She says her ex-boyfriend created deep fake AI-generated texts that put her behind bars. 2 days of hell.
It was horrific,
says Melissa Sims of her 2 days in a Florida jail.
It's just like you see in the movies, Orange is the New Black. I get put into like basically a general population of people who aren't doing like a year.
Her story made headlines in Florida. Sims and her boyfriend had recently moved there from Delaware County. It was November of 2024. She called police after an argument with her boyfriend. After allegedly ransacking her home, she says she called 911.
Next thing I know, I'm looking at him and he's slapping himself in the face.
And allegedly scratched himself. Police arrived and arrested her for battery. As part of her bond, the judge ordered her to stay away from her boyfriend and not speak to him. Fast forward several months later, and she says her boyfriend created an AI-generated text calling him names and making disparaging comments.
I end up getting arrested for violating my bond. No one verified the evidence.
We'll get back to Sims in a moment, but her ordeal is one of increasing frequency, says Herbert Dixon, senior judge of the Superior Court of the District of Columbia.
Several years ago, it started out with just fake audio recordings. And now it's gotten to a point of fake videos and also fake images.
Judge Dixon is a member of the Council on Criminal Justice, along with former Philly Police Commissioner Charles Ramsey. Its mission is to advance policy in the criminal justice system.
One of the things that we're trying to do is to develop a framework for the responsible use of artificial intelligence.
Do you think prosecutors and police may need to do a bit more due diligence in this age of AI before they bring charges?
Some due diligence has to be involved.
This is scary to say, but we're no longer going to be able to trust what we see.
Grocery shopping, it's a new trend for loss protection and to really understand how we're shopping in the stores. They're going to use all kinds of ways to justify their Big Brother activity, but privacy experts here warning this really shouldn't be normalized for the kind of surveillance that it's doing. And the biggest question is, what happens to that data? Who's got it? Who owns that? Who's storing it? How do we know that's safe? Of course it's not safe. These companies lose data constantly. So if you're in Texas, Washington, state of California, and Illinois, you're in luck. At least they have to post that sign outside that says, Ainsley, hey, welcome in. We're going to be recording your biometric data. Now, if I saw that at my grocery store, here's what I would do. I would vote with my wallet. I'd be like, no thanks. I'm going next door. I'm going to the other grocery store. I don't care if it's worse, because I'm not going to let you do that to me. I'm voting my wallet, period.
Okay, here's the statement from the store. It's only in a few of their stores. It says, in a small fraction of our stores that exhibit an elevated risk, we have developed cameras equipped with facial recognition technology. This technology is solely used for keeping our stores secure and safe. The system collects facial recognition data and only uses it to identify individuals who have been previously flagged for misconduct. Kurt, will we start seeing this in other stores around the country?
Yes, you will. So keep your eyes open for that.
They are taking some new steps tonight to make sure that shoppers aren't kept in the dark when facial recognition technology is being used in stores. Now, this all push comes after a New York City Wegmans posted notices outside of its doors alerting customers about the use of biometric data collection. 20 Side's Alyssa Clausel has that story.
Most everybody is saying that it's creepy. Other people are saying that it's happening all the time. What's one more?
Western New York lawmakers say they're hearing from concerned constituents after a Wegmans store in New York City posted signs alerting customers that biometric data may be used.
I was certainly surprised. I think without that law in New York City that requires signage to be posted, we wouldn't have known about it.
Biometric data is more than just surveillance cameras. According to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, biometric data is information about your physical features like your face or your fingerprints. It could be used to identify you.
We agree to it. Every time we open up something on the internet, we have a right to say yes or no.
But the technology is already used in some everyday situations, including at airports and at the Canadian border. And commercially, retailers like Walmart say they also use biometric information.
Wegmans is a great store, and it's a great part of Western New York. And but I think that it's just for people's own feeling of security.
Right now, there is no state or local law requiring stores in Western New York to notify shoppers when biometric technology is in use. But Erie County legislator Lindsay Larigo says she's working to change that.
I'm currently working on a local law that would require if a business or an entity is using, biometric scanning and collecting that data, that they would at least need to post signage to make customers aware, just like they're doing in New York City.
In response to these concerns, a spokesperson for Wegmans told Two on Your Side, in part, quote, "This technology is solely used for keeping our stores secure and safe. The system collects facial recognition data and only uses it to identify individuals who have been previously flagged for misconduct."
We are not interested in being Americans.
Yeah, be ourselves and live our life here.
Danish and Greenland have to get together and don't fight.
We're protesting against the orange dictator in the U.S. who is trying to bully his way to undermine the sovereignty of the Greenlandic people and take away their right to decide who they want to be part of.
The Kingdom of Denmark has always supported the United States when they have been in problem, and right now they are saying thank you to us in this way.
I think it's really incredible how many Greenlandic flags is everywhere, because it's our country and the support for our self-determination is so important.
This is the new reality. If Trump wants Venezuela's oil, he will take it. If Trump wants Greenland, he will take it. Some leaders have criticized this new equation, like French President Emmanuel Macron.
We are evolving into a world of great powers with a real temptation to divide the world amongst themselves. The United States is an established power, but one that is gradually turning away from some of its allies and freeing itself from the international rules it was still promoting until recently.
So what's the way forward? Macron wants us to reinvest in multilateralism. He wants us to double down on the United Nations. I don't think Macron will find many takers. The UN stock is at its lowest in decades. They couldn't stop the war in Ukraine. They could not stop Israel's war in Gaza. They could not stop the US attack on Venezuela. And they certainly cannot do anything about Greenland, the United Nations. Do you know why? Because the UN was built on two assumptions. One, that world powers would act responsibly, and two, that globalization would unite the world. Both assumptions were wrong. We are seeing the world fracture into many pieces. The US is one piece. Europe used to be part of that same piece, but Washington kicked them out. China is one piece. Russia and Iran are aligned to that piece. Middle powers like India are a different piece. And all of them are floating around with different interests. This is not a new order. It's a churn before the new order. And frankly, it was inevitable. In recent years, the US has been a declining power. Meanwhile, Asian countries surged ahead. They had a younger population and more resources. And the result was this. Many countries began challenging America, whether that's Russia invading Ukraine or China militarizing the Indo-Pacific or the BRICS moving away from the US dollar. All of this was a direct attack on the US-led world order. But then came Donald Trump, sort of like a final flare from a dying star. Trump is trying to reassert US dominance. That is why he captured Maduro, and that is why he wants Greenland. But how much further can he go? Can he truly revive the US-led order? The answer is no, because the other pieces won't allow it. Consider trade and the dollar. Russia settles 95% of its trade with India and China in local currencies, not the US dollar. China settles 33% of its total trade in local currency. Why would they go back to the US dollar? Also, this project is not slowing down. It is gathering pace. For example, the BRICS group. This group is expanding. It began with 4 members in the year 2009. Today it has 11 members. Meaning more and more countries are joining this project. They want to reduce their dependence on the United States. The question is, will this lead to a clash? President Macron addressed this too. He said BRICS should not be anti-US or anti-G7. At the same time, he said the G7 should not be anti-China or anti-BRICS. But how do you ensure that? Macron suggested India could be a bridge.
We should fight against the fragmentation of the world. G7 should not be an anti-China club or an anti-BRICS group. BRICS can't be an anti-G7 group.
When we elect officials, we expect them to act on our behalf. When we get involved in cooperative frameworks with other countries for joint regulation of fisheries or rail transportation or the skies, we're basically sharing our sovereignty with that government and outsourcing some of what we give our elected officials.
As disturbing as some find SPP, there is legislation in the House introduced by Florida's Catherine Harris that closely resembles the goals of the partnership. Included in that bill is a section which calls for the securing of Mexico's southern border by the United States and Canada. Lou, that's not the border with the United States, that's the border they share with Belize and Guatemala.
The idea that the White House would respond that this is on their website, this involves intricate workings amongst the Commerce Department of this country and Canada and Mexico's, of course, a regional prosperity and security program. This is absolute ignorance. And the fact that we reported this, we should point out, when it was signed. But as we watch this thing progress, these working groups are continuing, they're intensifying. What in the world are these people thinking about?
Well, they say, look, these are a declaration and an outline of our priorities. And when I called them today, Lou, they said I was the first phone call they had received literally since the deal was first signed. So people are not paying attention, and they're letting them, in fact, get away with this.
You know, I was asked the other day about whether or not I really thought the American people had the stomach to stand up and stop this nonsense, this direction from a group of elites in absolute contravention of our law, of our Constitution, every national value. And I hope, I pray that I'm right when I said yes. But this is beyond belief. Bill Tucker, thank you very much. It brings us to the subject of our poll tonight. Do you think maybe somebody should take a vote if we're going to merge the United States with Canada and Mexico? Maybe, you know, people like you and me vote. Yes or no? Please cast your vote at LouDobbs.com. We'll have the results here later in the broadcast. Coming up, a measure to raise wages for...
So if you're Putin,
I think you feel like this is a time of maximum vulnerability for the transatlantic alliance, maximum vulnerability for the frontline European states. And what you learned from Venezuela, yes, you lost access to an erstwhile ally that you couldn't support in the Western Hemisphere, just as you did when Bashar Assad was toppled, just as you did when the Americans engaged and supported Israel in a 12-day war in Iran. But the much bigger statement is what the Americans are right now saying about Greenland.
About a potential health risk being spread on American farms and invading our food. Fertilizer made from human waste that contains forever chemicals is not regulated in the U.S. The EPA seemed poised to take action in 2025, but now there's an effort to shut that down from within the halls of Congress. And Spotlight on America national investigative correspondent Lisa Fletcher asked why.
The co-owner of the restaurant shared this security camera video with Fox 9. So this is from Tuesday night, showing that man, now identified as Kevin by the owner of the restaurant, stepping outside Pancho's Taqueria and Mexican Cafe to go to a storage container. And then you see right there on the camera, there were ICE agents. They grabbed him, they dragged him out of the storage unit there, and they took him into custody as he was screaming loudly for help.
Coworkers say the man is in the U.S. legally with a work permit and is married and has small children. They also say they attempted to bring his glasses to him while in ICE custody, but they were turned away. Coworkers say within 12 hours of that video being taken, he was moved to an ICE facility in El Paso, Texas.
The man is in the U.S. legally with a work permit.
Oh, I got hit in the head really bad. Oh. Oh. Out of the blue, police are moving forward.
Hey, good evening. I'm Dennis Owens.
I'm Alicia Richards. So glad you're with us. Tonight, we begin with new information in the case of an 11-year-old Perry County boy accused of killing his father.
Police say the boy, Clayton Dietz, shot and killed his father, Douglas Dietz, inside their home on South Market Street in Duncannon. We have team coverage, and we begin with Sarah Wilson, who is live in Duncannon. Sarah?
Alicia, Dennis, good evening to you. Just hours before this all happened, the boy's mother posted on Facebook wishing her 11-year-old son happy birthday. Court documents show that the family celebrated around midnight, but around 3 a.m., tragedy would hit. Police say what began as a birthday celebration for 11-year-old Clayton Dietz ended hours later with his father, 42-year-old Douglas Dietz, dead, allegedly shot by the boy himself.
This is a very sad situation, and it's a situation that will take quite some time to work its way through the court system.
Clayton was charged with criminal homicide on his 11th birthday, just hours after celebrating with his parents at midnight. According to court documents, the shooting happened around 3 a.m. Tuesday. Clayton's mother, Jillian Dietz, told police that she and her husband Douglas had gone to bed. She woke up to a, quote, bang. That's when she turned on her bedroom lights and found Clayton standing in the closet. She told police that her son said, quote, he's dead. But there is plenty about this case we still do not know. No comment. Perry County District Attorney Clay Maris didn't fill in any of those blanks today. But according to court documents, Clayton's mom says he was upset when he was told to go to bed and had his Nintendo Switch taken away. He admitted to police that he got the key to the gun from his father's drawer. And that is when police say the boy told them that he went inside that safe looking for his Nintendo Switch and instead got the gun, took it out, and allegedly shot his father in the head.
When a juvenile is charged with murder, they automatically begin as charged as an adult.
Which is the case for Clayton right now, but that could change through what's called decertification.
And decertification is a filing where the defense tries to say the individual should be prosecuted in the juvenile justice system for a variety of reasons.
That's up to a judge, and whatever they decide will make a huge difference.
The big difference is that the adult court system, if someone is convicted of first-degree murder, they have a much longer sentence. Because this is a juvenile, the juvenile does not automatically get life without the possibility of parole. That law changed.
Rather than these being developed necessarily through the IMF, WTO, and other multilateral organizations, it is going to be coalitions that develop them, not for the world, but for subsectors of the world.
See Canada and Mexico do well, but the problem is we don't need their product. You know, we don't need cars made in Canada. We don't need cars made in Mexico. We want to make them here. And that's what's happening. Everybody's moving here. From Canada, they're coming here.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is in China on a historic 4-day visit, the first by a Canadian leader in nearly a decade, seeking to repair strained ties and reshape Canada's global trade strategy amid growing tensions with the United States. Arriving in Beijing, Carney declared that a new strategic partnership between Canada and China could position both countries for what he called a new world order, arguing that the global system has fundamentally changed since Canada's last high-level visit.
Chairman Zhao Leji, for receiving me, my ministers, and our delegation. This is indeed a very important meeting and the most auspicious start to the new year and to a new era of relations between Canada and China. We're heartened by the leadership of President Xi Jinping and the speed with which our relationship has progressed in recent months. This sets the stage for these important discussions on a wide range of issues where we can be strategic partners, from energy to agriculture, to people ties, to multilateralism, to issues on security. And we believe that the spirit and the substance of these discussions and these agreements will provide great benefit to each of our peoples, but also provide an example to the world of cooperation amidst a time globally of division and disorder.
That remark sparked backlash at home. Conservative MP Blaine Calkins blasted Carney for discussing a new world order with Beijing, accusing the government of cozying up to an authoritarian regime.
Mine is the first visit of a Canadian Prime Minister to China in nearly a decade. The world has changed much since that last visit. And I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order.
Sources tell CBS News the U.S. quietly purchased a device in late 2024 that may be connected to the mysterious condition known as Havana syndrome. We're told the U.S. government is now testing that portable backpack-sized device that emits pulsed radio frequency energy. More than 1,500 American officials have reported symptoms, including severe headaches, nausea, and ringing in the ears since 2016. There have been multiple investigations into the origins of Havana syndrome, but nothing conclusive has been released so far. CBS News reporter Olivia Gazis joins us now. Olivia, what exactly is it that the U.S. obtained and how?
Sure. Well, 3 sources who've been briefed on this highly secretive acquisition, Lindsay, tell CBS News that the device was purchased by a unit inside the Department of Homeland Security using Pentagon funding upwards of 8 figures, which means multiple millions of dollars. It is relatively small, as you said, and according to what we know, it was a transaction that one person described as Russia connected. It's got Russian components inside of it, and it's Russia connected. That doesn't mean that we bought it from the Kremlin. More likely, it means a black market, an arms dealer, not an official state-to-state transaction. The testing of this device, which, as you mentioned, was bought in 2024 in the final weeks of the Biden administration, has been going on for at least a year, and we're told that congressional oversight committees have been briefed on what these investigators have found. Now, why does this matter? For victims, it's evidence that, one, a device exists, and it may be capable of producing those kinds of really troubling neurological effects that they've been experiencing. That said, we do not know that it's been conclusively proven that this device causes these cases or is linked to any specific case. But there is a broader question about proliferation here. If the U.S. was able to acquire one of these devices, it raises the possibility that other potentially hostile countries may be able to get their hands on one too, if they haven't already, which poses real risks to U.S. officials overseas.
What has the intelligence community been trying to do to understand Havana syndrome?
As you mentioned, U.S. intelligence agencies have spent years investigating what's behind this illness, which has affected diplomats, intelligence officers, military personnel all around the world, including some very high-profile cases. If you'll recall, reports of incidents here in Washington, D.C. involving senior U.S. officials. The CIA director's former chief of staff was targeted in India while traveling overseas. And for many of these victims, Russia has long been the prime and, in their view, obvious suspect. But the intelligence assessments released here, there was a major one in 2023 and 2025.
But if he can pull this off, we're looking at a new world order.
Yeah, I mean, another conspiracy theory that has started coming true. I mean, we saw this announcement in September. It took everybody by surprise. The World Economic Forum had been pushing digital IDs, the United Nations, the European Union, Britain. Of course, the really terrifying example is China, which uses digital IDs and a social credit score to control speech and to control what people think and say online.
I wish to thank the sponsors for inviting me. I don't often get invited. This was an important debate. I had planned another closing message, but I feel compelled to say what I'm about to say. Now, I risk sounding like a conspiracy theorist, but it's no longer a theory. What I'm about to say is fact. The secret organizations of the world power elite are no longer secret. They have planned and are now leading us into a one-world communist government. The combining of national governments started with the European Union. That union started with trade agreements, then a common currency, the euro, and now a European Parliament that is feverishly passing laws that override the laws of the member nations. A constitution was drafted but rejected by a few of those nations, but never mind. They implemented it anyway. Now it's North America's turn. Building on the North American Free Trade Agreement, the NAFTA section of the Commerce Department is busy drafting laws and regulations for a North American Union, a union of Canada, America, and Mexico. The President has attended secret meetings and signed at least 2 agreements under the Security and Prosperity Partnership Program. Information leaked out about the meetings, and now it is all in the open. No treaty has been signed, so Congress has not become involved. However, money from our Treasury is now being spent for this effort. We will have a new currency, the Amero, and a new constitution modeled on the Soviet Union's constitution. Our rights will not be inalienable, but they will be granted by government, who can also take them away. One sign that this is our future is the plans for the superhighways from southern Mexico through America and into Canada. These plans are not secret any longer. Huge amounts of property will be taken in the name of free trade, peace, and security. You will have a national ID card with a radio frequency chip in it. That's already law in America and will be implemented by May 2000. This man voted for it.
quiet country living brought families like father and son Tim and Andy Grosser to these rolling hills in Mason County, Kentucky.
They just want to be out in the country where it's quiet and they can watch the wildlife.
They've tended to cattle and hunted here for more than 30 years. But now that quiet is under threat from a $1 billion data center project that could soon rise just over that ridge.
I don't want any part of it being anywhere near here.
Why?
For one, I don't want to look at it. Our power is going to double in price, and we don't have enough energy right now to even supply Maysville through the winter. They have to buy power from the grid.
Last spring, the Grossers were offered more than $8 million to sell all 250 acres of their land. That's 35 times what they bought it for in 1988.
This is a good amount of money.
Yeah, but I don't really care how much they offer. I'm just not telling.
When they asked for details about the project, they were given an NDA instead.
The mystery guy slides a paper forward and says, sign this non-disclosure agreement and we'll start answering questions. And we said, well, that's a non-starter.
County officials telling NBC News they signed non-disclosure agreements with the same company last spring, hoping to secure hundreds of millions of dollars in investment from one of the top 5 tech companies in the U.S. building out its AI infrastructure. They agreed to keep the company's name secret. But for the Grossers, the silence rang louder than the money.
How does that make you feel?
Handcuffed. I mean, I think they're trying to, protect the potential company from us.
It's all going to be a done deal before we can do anything about it.
Experts studying data center projects like this one across the country say this kind of secrecy isn't accidental, it's strategic.
They're using these agreements to try and grease the skids and try and avoid, to the extent that they can, that community input that could slow things down.
But already in Mason County, the community is giving its input after online Facebook groups pieced together what was coming to their town.
What's out there they don't want us to know. If they were totally transparent, they wouldn't need the NDAs.
It leaves everybody in this county not knowing what they're up against. That's how I feel.
At this zoning meeting, frustrations boiling over.
NDA, no discernible accountability.
Construction chaos and hazards, air, water, noise pollution, water quality, pressure issues, possible electric grid issues as well. This is something that has got to be more open.
And the residents of Mason County are not alone. Data center construction is booming nationwide to fuel the growing demand for artificial intelligence, with hundreds of new projects announced last year alone. We found more than 20 cases across 16 states where NDAs were signed between local officials and data center developers. Many of them look similar to this NDA from a town in Minnesota, saying the company should be given a reasonable opportunity to prevent disclosure of the confidential information. 6 of the largest tech companies building data centers across the country all declined to comment or did not respond to questions about the use of NDAs in data center projects.
Police have arrested a 65-year-old man after viral cell phone video shows him cursing and yelling racial slurs outside a Social Security office in Gwinnett County.
Fox 5's Ray Urena joins us live at Gwinnett Police Headquarters. Ray, some shameful, unhinged behavior in front of a large crowd of people.
Absolutely, it was, Russ. And Gwinnett County actually charged 65-year-old Robert Burke with misdemeanor disorderly conduct. Now, this video that captured his outburst outside of the Social Security office went viral, garnering tens of thousands of likes across various social media platforms. And we have muted the portions of the video where there are profanities and racial slurs that are yelled out.
Yeah, I'm a citizen, you fat.
You're looking at cell phone video obtained from Gwinnett Police through open records.
What are you gonna do? It's free speech!
Police say that video shows 65-year-old Robert John Burke yelling profanities and racial slurs towards people and children. Investigators say it happened Wednesday at a Social Security office near Norcross.
But there are exceptions to the First Amendment. Those include fighting words. So basically, you can't make statements face-to-face to someone that may entice violence in that moment.
According to the police report, a security guard at the Social Security office told officers Burke has been previously banned from the location. The security guard told investigators he saw Burke approaching from outside and told him he could not come in. That's when the security guard told officers Burke became irate.
Get out of here. I'm gonna kick the shit out of you. Want to do it now? Yeah, take a shot.
Police say using this video and talking to witnesses on scene, they got a warrant for misdemeanor disorderly conduct.
There were other individuals on the scene that potentially could have been victims of the crime of simple assault, but they chose not to prosecute.
When officers arrived, the report states officers could not find Burke, but a day later, they got called to a hotel near Duluth for another disturbance.
It was discovered that Mr. Burke was also involved in that.
Police say the video and witness statements helped them bring charges against Burke.
Take video, we love that. It always helps us. And, but still contact the police so we can take steps to make an arrest quickly in situations like this.
And we did check with the Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office, and they told me that as of this afternoon, that Burke is still behind bars at the detention center. We also did reach out through several emails that are listed for Burke, but we have yet to hear back.
You know, I was asked the other day about whether or not I really thought the American people had the stomach to stand up and stop this nonsense, this direction from a group of elites in absolute contravention of our law, of our Constitution, every national value. And I hope, I pray that I'm right when I said yes, but this is beyond belief. Bill Tucker, thank you very much. It brings us to the subject of our poll tonight. Do you think maybe somebody should take a vote if we're going to merge the United States with Canada and Mexico? Maybe, people like you and me vote. Yes or no? Please cast your vote at LouDobbs.com. We'll have the results here later in the broadcast. Coming up, a measure to raise wages.
So if you're Putin, I think you feel like this is a time of maximum vulnerability for the transatlantic alliance, maximum vulnerability for the frontline European states. And what you learned from Venezuela, yes, you lost access to an erstwhile ally that you couldn't support in the Western Hemisphere, just as you did when Bashar Assad was toppled, just as you did when the Americans engaged and supported Israel in a 12-day war in Iran. But the much bigger statement is what the Americans are right now saying about Greenland. That feels very strategically attractive for the Russians. They've never heard such good news from U.S. on the foreign policy side since Putin has become president.
How long will you give X to make sure that you can't make controversial or obscene images behind a paywall? How long is the government going to give X to stop that?
Well, I expect Ofcom to take its next steps in days, not weeks. The government is crystal clear. We want those images taken down. They are despicable, they are abhorrent, and we will ensure that the full force of the powers of the law that we have given Ofcom, we want to see those used.
Are there any steps that could be, well, outline some of those steps. What can Ofcom do? Just explain to people what are the measures and powers available to Ofcom that would bring this to an end.
They can investigate the service, they can issue enforcement action, and if that enforcement action is not complied with, they can fine the platform £18 million or 10% of their worldwide revenue, whichever is greater. But there are also powers in the Online Safety Act which enable Ofcom to block those services being made available to people in the UK. And as I said, we would want to ensure Ofcom uses the full range of powers that it has, but we as a government are taking additional action because we are determined to ensure women and girls are as safe online as we want them to be safe in the real world. No ifs, no buts.
So you're saying that it's possible or it's likely that if X don't move on this, then the platform could be banned?
Well, I am sure Ofcom is determined to ensure the law is enforced. They will take all the necessary steps that they have been, with the powers given to them by Parliament, and I am sure that we will see those steps in days, not weeks.
But if nothing is done, what are the implications? You could see the platform banned.
If Ofcom decides that they've refused to comply with the law, they have the powers to block those services.
Australia making history with a new law aimed at keeping kids off of social media. The country now the first in the world to ban children under the age of 16 from major platforms, things like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook as well.
An innocent man shot and killed after a father allegedly mistakes him for his daughter's kidnapper.
Jonathan Mata is charged with murder after surveillance video showed him firing the bullets that killed 24-year-old Desmond Butler. It happened on Christmas Day near a gas station on the West Beltway South. KPRC 2 News reporter Corley Peel joins us live from where the tragedy happened with reaction from Butler's family and Mata's attorney. Corley.
Keith, Desmond Butler's family is devastated. They all live in Georgia, and they say Butler has been living here in Houston the past couple of years, pursuing a career with Amazon. They say all of that changed after he was shot and killed at this gas station by a man who thought he was someone else. Desmond Butler, known to his family as a leader and respectful.
He was resilient and he lived life with no regret.
His sister, Destiny Butler, told me over the phone that their family got the devastating news about her baby brother's death on Christmas Day.
We were all asleep and we got the call in the middle of the night and we were devastated, like we couldn't believe it.
Records showed this was a case of mistaken identity. Surveillance captures the moment police say Jonathan Mata shot at Butler's car at this gas station. In the video, you see Mata's wife approaching Butler's car. She runs after him as he drives away. Mata seen walking as Butler turns out of the gas station. He points his gun, firing twice, striking Butler in the head and back before Butler crashes into a light pole. Court documents say a girl in Butler's passenger seat told police Mata drove up, opened one of the doors, looked inside, saying, "Oh, we were looking for our kidnapped daughter. I'm sorry, we will call 911," before driving away. Records show Mata confessed he was the shooter in the video and mistook Butler for his daughter's boyfriend. Mata's attorney, William Van Buren, says Mata's 19-year-old daughter called her parents, asking to be picked up after her boyfriend assaulted her.
He agreed to bring the daughter to them, told them to pull over. They did pull over into a gas station. They knew he was right there. He, in fact, was on the phone and said, "I'm pulling in, I'm about to pull in." It was at that time that this vehicle pulls into the gas station.
We're taking a closer look at the ammunition used in the ambush of a Greenville police officer on Sunday morning. Authorities say the suspect fired at the officer while he was sitting in his patrol vehicle. 7 News' Laura Miller spoke with a gun shop owner to learn more.
What's typically a center for safety turned into instant chaos.
I've been shot. Shot LED.
This is video of the parking lot at the Greenville County Law Enforcement Center off of McGee Street. Agents with the State Law Enforcement Division say 42-year-old David Lane ambushed the officer, firing at him. But the type of ammunition that was used is what we asked gun shop owner Kellett Stevens about. SLED says Lane used incendiary ammunition.
Basically a white phosphorus that ignites.
Similar to a firework, it's also known as dragon's breath ammunition.
It's been around since the mid-'80s to my knowledge. I mean, I remember hearing about it as a young man.
It gets really hot. Take a look at these photos of the patrol car. Part of the door and mirror are charred.
I would say somewhere in the 1500 degree neighborhood.
Notice the several holes in the car too. Stevens says that's because the ammo sprays out when it's fired.
What it looked like was that the majority of the burn was almost like contact, just a few inches from where the shotgun was, and that would have been the blast of the dragon's breath. And then obviously the buckshot that is inside of it, the metal balls inside of it, would have been the dangerous part about the shotgun.
But why would anyone have or use it?
It's a novelty. It's not a practical application for anything. You don't hunt with it. Nobody would use it in a home defense situation, obviously, light their house on fire.
Because it's mainly used for show.
Show up in a movie or in
a... And you said in terms of the parties with the girls with the brothels that when they didn't come back, that they were sort of sold, they were told that the girls had gone on to the mansion or to maybe somewhere, a mansion overseas to kind of live out their dreams, but in cases the girls were either tortured and beat to death at the parties or sometimes shot. Yes. And what would you say was the average age of the girls there?
If I had to guess an average, I'd say 13.
13.
Right, a couple maybe a year or two younger, a bunch of them around that age, and then And by a bunch, I don't think there was ever more than 5 or 6 there at a time, but even in the short time that I was there, you know, it was, Samantha was the only one that was there when I had gotten there, I think.
Yeah.
So.
And you said, so 5 at a time at the brothel?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Something like that.
And then at the parties, when it was just like the 8 or 10 of the more depraved pedophiles, how many kids at the parties then?
Just, you know, maybe a couple.
A couple? 2 or 3?
Yeah.
So 8 to 10 adults and 2 or 3 children.
Mm-hmm.
And you said the adults would vary party to party, but some of the adults were similar, or the adults were different party to party?
There were faces that that I saw more than once, and you know, in being able to recognize people, I've given all the ones that I really kind of recognized.
Yeah.
But you would get a sense of who was more safe than others.
Yeah. Yeah, my sense is that how it was sort of organizationally structured is that there were sort of satellite setups, that there was more use of the smaller airports and even the smaller planes to transport, and there was use of private investigators to recruit and then get intel, even kidnap and then silence victims, and that they did use the bigger parties to provide sort of criminal cover.
Tonight, a West Macon neighborhood still dealing with the loss of India Davis. The Bibb Sheriff's Office is investigating after Davis was shot and killed Thursday. Investigators say a 15-year-old is now charged with felony murder and armed robbery. As the community grapples with the tragic loss, friends are remembering India Davis as a caregiver and an advocate for children. Maggie Fitzgerald is live on Adams Avenue. Maggie, what can you tell us about that shooting and about what India Davis meant to her community?
Frank, deputies say it all happened on the 2100 block of Adams Avenue Thursday afternoon. That's where they found 41-year-old India Norwood Davis shot near her car. Now, loved ones telling me today this is a devastating loss and telling me how they're remembering her as more than a number. Tonight, as the Bibb Sheriff's Office investigates, family, friends, and former colleagues now remembering India Norwood Davis and her service to others.
India was just a true caregiver, a true supporter, encourager, and just a consistent person in the lives of so many people who lacked consistency.
Davis spent years working with children and families at the Methodist Home for Children and Youth in Macon. Her former colleague, Cameron Bishop, is now president and CEO of Wesley Glen Ministries. He says she had a gift for helping people through their hardest days.
India was one of those people who had the gift of patience and could sit alongside someone as they grieved the loss or they worked through their trauma, but she was also that person that would celebrate with them when life went well.
Bishop says Davis, a mother herself, served as a mother figure to many others over the years. He says he often saw her stand up for the children she served, and now another teen is charged with killing her.
The question I asked myself is, what might have been different had India and this young man had the opportunity to meet each other under different circumstances? What would the outcome have been? And I just hope and pray that it would have been very different. That I think India would have had the gift to potentially support this young man in ways that he might need in his life.
And the sheriff's office says that 15-year-old suspect's parents turned him in late Thursday night. He's being charged with felony murder and armed robbery. Now, officials say they will not be releasing his name at the time because he's a juvenile. He's being held in the Regional Youth Detention Center.
Workers, has this now been ditched?
Looks like it. It was September. The Prime Minister made a big speech at a conference of progressives, and where he talked tough in that speech. There, he said that You will not be able to work in the UK if you don't have a digital ID. It's as simple as that. The scheme would make it tougher to work illegally in this country, making our borders more secure. We've always been clear. Details on the digital ID scheme will be set out following a full public consultation, which will be launched shortly. Well, not sure the Prime Minister was talking about that last September. And then the government still says digital ID will make everyday lives easier for people, ensuring public services are more personal.
The NHS in the UK has an incredible amount of population data, but it's fragmented. It's not easily accessible by these AI models. We have to take all of this data we have in our country and move it into a single, if you will, unified data platform.
A unified data platform. Well, what could possibly go wrong with that?
It's quite terrifying, and when you just listen to what the advocates for digital IDs say, it's terrifying. And, you know, Laura, one thing I learned from this last round of investigations is that this is a huge cybersecurity threat. The idea that, I mean, imagine if you get hacked in one of the many websites that you log into. Imagine everything suddenly being hacked because it's all centralized in a single place. That cybersecurity threat alone ought to be enough to kill the digital ID. But again, this is potentially digital totalitarianism.
Well, remember China hacked into, I think it was Office of Personnel Management, and got, you know, untold numbers of government workers' records, their home addresses, phone numbers, Social Security. I mean, that's the U.S. government. Like, we're supposed to be the most secure system around. So that's an issue. But, you know, the argument also... Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, no, just I was going to say hacks happen all the time. I mean, there's huge hacks. Governments get hacked.
At the World Economic Forum back in January, push for this. I think we have the soundbite.
I propose putting an end to anonymity on social media. Citizens have the right to privacy, not to anonymity or impunity. We must push forward the principle of pseudonymity as the functioning element of social media, and force all these platforms to link every user account to an European digital identity wallet.
I took a law course, I know! I'm not stupid! Good, she's terrified! You're in an ice suit. How are you gonna reassure her? No, es mentira, usted los separan de los babies. No! I don't know what to do. I called the police, but I don't know what to do. A woman was just killed in Minnesota yesterday from you guys, and you guys think that we're gonna just take this lightly? Literally, you just shot and killed someone yesterday, and you can put on your go to work, and that shit just sits right with you? What the is wrong with you guys? You guys are modern day Nazis. My family got killed. Native Americans got killed for you guys to put on that shit. Bullshit. No, mis hijos, yo me voy. Bullshit. So nowadays we can't order DoorDash without ICE showing up to our house, right? I have a baby. A baby. Get out. Until you guys have a warrant signed, get off my property now! Now!
I want judge papers!
I want a signed paper! You don't come near my house because you're the one that has your hand on the gun the whole time!